Wow. So this is a big one for me. I say that for a lot of them. I really do, but this is a big one. As those that listen to us here at Not for Long Media, we have a bunch of different guests on, and we have the king of barbecue on it straight up. The man. I mean, you're the king of barbecue, Malcolm. We
I
have
don't know.
Malcom
I don't
Reed.
know about that. But self-proclaimed. You think I could start calling myself that? I don't know how that would go over, man. But I'll take it.
1.27 million subscribers on YouTube, 3 million monthly views. I think that was a stat I saw last year. You got the gold button, man, from YouTube. Talk about that.
Yeah, no, it's hanging in my office right now, man. It was, when we started this, it's really been about just sharing what I learned about barbecue. I kind of come from a competitive barbecue background. That's kind of where I started learning my chops and getting into cooking and just trying different things. And then I met my wife, and she kind of, steered me towards more of the business side of things, make a website, start a YouTube, channel, all that, do a newsletter. And because she had a marketing background, that's where she came from. So she was familiar with that. And it just kind of snowballed into this big business that we have now, and all about cooking barbecue. And, hitting that million on YouTube, that was when we first started. I said, there's no way there's a million people going to watch, some guy from Mississippi cook barbecue for, 10, 15 minutes. But I mean, the numbers just keep adding up, and we keep steady growing. So it's a lot of fun.
You're in Hernando, Mississippi. Is that where you grew up?
That's it. I grew up, DeSoto County, which is pretty much right outside of Memphis. So we're kind of like our little 3-city area here is kind of like a suburb. South Haven was the town I lived in, which is right on the state line. And Hernando is just like 2 exits south of there. So all general area.
That's fantastic. You mentioned your wife. It's funny. So I could tell based off your videos, like the different houses you guys have lived in. Like, like you started off with like the blinds closed behind you. Like I got here, like it's almost creepy how much I've watched your videos, because we got the green egg, man. I was just like inept. My father and I were inept on it. He says he was okay. We were inept on it. But the best part about your videos is you just lay it out there of what to do. People try to tweak it. I'm like, why would you tweak it? Now I get you. I'm sure you're like, tweak it if you got it. You always say do something different. But I mean, I don't even know where to start, because this is, again, it's so excited for me. But we'll start here at ground zero. What got you into barbecuing? Who inspired you to cook?
Well, in our town, Memphis in May is probably the biggest pork cooking contest in the world. And it was always in our backyard. So me and my brother kind of grew up going to barbecue contests. Our parents would take us to Memphis in May. We had friends that their dads and moms, they had teams back in the day. It was just a big part of growing up in the Memphis area was barbecue. And every time I think of barbecue, it's always the holidays, getting people together, cooking a lot of food, having good times. And so we were drawn to it. It was just outdoor cooking to me. It wasn't necessarily barbecue. We were just outdoor cooking. And so as we got older, we decided to kind of form our own team. It was just, us and a bunch of buddies. And we did it for the party aspect because, there's a lot of chicks hanging out there, and we had a lot of fun. And we didn't really have our mindset on winning anything. But as the years went on, me and my brother kind of got a little more competitive, and we realized that, we're getting older. We're going to take it a little more serious. We're going to try to win. We're going to cut back on some of the partying. And that was really what got me going in the direction I'm going now. But I enjoyed it so much. And what I learned was me and my buddies were always talking barbecue. Like, what are you doing to butts this week? Are you doing anything different to your injection? Are you trying any new rubs? And my wife heard us talking like this, and she said, you really should share that information. There's people that would want to hear that. And so when I started doing it, I said, look, I'm not a camera person. I'm not a writer writing recipes or, writing these newsletters. I'm just going to do it from my point of view that I'm talking to my buddies, just like we're sitting here talking today, Colin. That's all. I mean, and it comes across. I think people relate to that because they can see, if he can do it, he makes it easy. And it's just like I'm there with them almost. And so I think we'll always kind of keep that approach with what we do with How to BBQ Right.
It's a fantastic approach because obviously it is working. Now you've grown to have your own shop, Malcoms Shop. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So we bought, we were working out of our home forever, just being Rochelle. And as we've grown, we had to hire employees. And so we realized after you have one employee in your home and you start needing another one, it's too many people all at our house. So we needed a building. And so we found this building in Hernando, and it was mainly set up like an Aflac insurance agency. It had a little warehouse in the back, had a little kitchen, but had a lot of offices. And up front was like a lobby area. And I said, it'd be neat if I could just set some rubs and sauces, put some shelvings out there, and give people local a place to come buy the rubs and stuff so they could save on shipping. Because that's what eats us up in barbecue, selling barbecue rubs and sauces online. Shipping's eating everybody up. And so it's just a great place. And it's turned into, we're selling grills now. We're selling crawfish cooking stuff, cast iron, charcoal, wood, knives, cutting boards. We got a little bit of it all. I call it a shop for the cooking man. That's what it is. Anything that I use to cook on, I probably got it out there. So that's really what the shop is.
That's huge. So you'll sell like a green egg in there. You'll sell a Traeger in there.
Well, we've got Traegers, we've got Outlaw Smokers, which is a stick burner, and we've got the drums. We're bringing in PK grills. We're really limited. I've only got I think it's 900 square feet of space. It's not really big at all. And so we've got it packed full of stuff. So as we realize how stuff's going to sell, we may look to adding green egg, but we've got a local green egg dealer here at a hardware store. So it's kind of, not fair to those guys. If I try to start selling something, they're selling down the street. So I don't want to push any business away from somebody local.
No doubt. No doubt. That's fantastic. Yeah. We use a green egg here. I love the green egg. Shout out to Green Egg. If you want to sponsor, we love your product. They do a great job. But what's your favorite? They do. What's your favorite? I mean, I'm sure you get asked all the time, what's your favorite grill to smoke on? I've watched some of your stuff before and you say, hey man, I love it all.
I do, I have a problem. I don't get rid of my grills. My wife says I has too many, but it's to me, it's like, those are my tools. I don't want to get rid of my tools, even unless they're just completely wore out. I'm still going to find a use for them. I'm all about repurposing something. But if I had to pick one, and I tell all people all the time, start out with the Weber kettle. And because it's an easy grill to find, you can get one for about $200, and you can learn how to manage a fire on a Weber kettle. You can set it up for grilling, of course, if you're doing steaks or burgers or brats or something like that. But you can set those grills up for 2-zone cooking, where you kind of keep a hot side and a cool side, and you can cook large pieces of meat on it. You can cook butts, you can cook a brisket, you can cook ribs. And once you learn how to manage that fire on a grill like a Weber kettle, you can go just about to anything. If you got a big enough budget, man, a green egg's a great grill. They're versatile because you can cook low and slow on them. You can cook hot and fast. You can bake pizzas on them. But a lot of people don't want to drop that $1,000 if they're just getting into barbecue. And so that's why I say kind of start out on the lower end, get something you can learn to cook on, and then build as you go. Because eventually you're going to go somewhere like a green egg or a Traeger or something like that.
Well, you've been cooking longer than you've been doing your videos, and you've got through all the trials and tribulations, it seems, and I'm sure you still find them. And you talk about competition barbecue, and that's where you cut your teeth. Is there a certain proudest moment in competition barbecue? I'm sure you've won a lot of trophies. I saw the world's tallest trophy. Can you talk about the world's tallest trophy, and then maybe a competition barbecue that you're proud of?
Yeah, that's definitely the biggest trophy I've ever won is the Guinness Book World Records I won it 2 years in a row, actually, and it was a steak cook-off. It was a ribeye steak cook-off over in West Memphis, Arkansas. I think there was over 150 teams there cooking, and I had just got into steak cooking. I mean, I come from the barbecue side of things where we cook, whole hog, shoulders, ribs, maybe brisket and chicken and KCBS, but steak cook-off was new to me. So me and my brother and wife, we went over there and we all put our own teams in because it's kind of a solo effort. And at the end of the day, I come out champ. I think it was like 15 grand that day, which was huge to cook one steak, which took me about 8 minutes. So I said, this steak cook-off is not bad. And so we went back the next year, and I lucked up and won it again. That was unheard of. So, I've had some pretty good luck cooking steaks, but my proudest moment, now when I sign up for a steak cook-off, my son wants to cook. So I get to be the time guy, holding the thermometer for him. And he's done really well against some, grown men cooking. He was 10 years old when he started, and I think his best finish so far has been 3rd. So he's holding his own in the steak cook-off. So anytime I can take my son and get him to get a call and get up there and get to go get a trophy, that's special to me, man.
We're talking legacy now. I mean, that's real in the barbecue world, but also in your shop or in your business. Is there a opportunity for him to join you guys down the road?
We hope so. All these kids are into YouTube. So, we always, and we get a ton of calls and emails and letters from kids that are watching cooking videos. And I'm glad to see that. I realize that's the future. And I'm trying to kind of not steer my son, because I want him to ultimately be able to choose what he wants to do. But anything that he wants to learn, man, we let him tag along with us. We let him help out. we got him on the payroll. He's working. So when we have events and stuff, we put him to work. So he's getting a lot of that. Now, whether he wants to hang out with his old man when he gets, 18, I don't know, but we'll see where he goes.
Maybe he'll be chasing those girls at the barbecue time. Just like Dad. Hey, so you mentioned the youth though. I see you got TikTok rolling, man. Good for you. I have not folded into the TikTok world yet. I need to.
That was, that's my outlet where I can have some fun with stuff, because I realize that my YouTube channel, it's more serious to me. I want to make sure that I put a recipe out there that if you or anyone else decide to cook it, that you're going to get the same results I get. So I kind of take a different tone, but the TikTok it's more of the younger generation's thing. So you can cut up on it. So I've had a lot of fun. We actually hired a guy that's you've been speaking with him, Tyler. He helps us with our podcast, and we call him TikTok Tyler because he's the one that said you need to start a TikTok channel up. And we've grown that to 500,000 people already just by making these silly little videos that are 60 seconds long. But, you can kind of see a little more of my personality in the TikToks, where YouTube, it's serious. So.
Yeah, it's serious. All right. I mean, we are dialed in on the YouTubes but the TikToks, no, I was laughing. I'm like, man, everyone tells me you got to get in on it. So I think I need to hire TikTok Tyler. We'll bring him up from Mississippi. We'll bring him up to Yankee land up here. No, I listened to your podcast. I want you to plug your podcast because you guys do an awesome job, man. It's so cool to listen to. I've listened to, I don't know, say maybe a dozen of them. And they just put me in a good mood, man. You guys are laid back. You're talking beers, you're talking barbecue, you're talking good times. You get to know your wife a little bit, who's on the other side of the camera, which she's got a great personality. And it's funny. You have guests on from other barbecue places. So plug your podcast and talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. So Rochelle and I started How to BBQ Right podcast. I guess we're on our 4th season now. We try to run them from kind of February to November. Usually we take a little time off decent for hunting season. And to finish up watching football, through the playoffs and all that, be doing podcasts, working too much. But we have a lot of fun with it. It really is it's a end of the week. Me and Rochelle sit down for an hour here in our little podcast studio, and we just try to have a good time. And it's a way for us to let out everything we did the week, to kick back a little bit, to tell some jokes. I try to make her laugh, and we have a lot of fun with it. It's been really good therapy. I can say we don't argue near as much after we do our weekly podcast.
That's fantastic. So hunting season, what are you hunting for?
In Mississippi, we're big deer hunters, but we chase ducks, and then we went into turkey season too. So we're
great.
getting ready for dove season. That's the one coming up around Labor Day. We've got our sunflowers in the ground and trying to get them fertilized and looking good, so maybe we can get some birds in.
I love it. So when you go hunting and you bring back, food, what's your favorite one to smoke and maybe a good recipe that you've done?
Oh man, deer backstrap. If you've never had that bacon wrap backstrap that I've done on a drum, it'll change your life. I mean, that's some of the finest, find it whitetail backstrap or any kind of venison. If you can find some elk, it's probably my favorite, absolute favorite. I've never been elk hunting, but I've had the pleasure to cook some for some friends that brought me some fresh elk, and it's absolutely delicious. But as long as you don't overcook it, that's a lot of people mess up on cooking deer because they overcook it. It's best medium rare to medium and no more. You still want it to have a good pink, juicy center, and man, it's better than steak to me. A lot of times, we live off deer meat. We cook it all the time.
I love it.
Butcher our own, make sausage, do all kinds of stuff with it.
It's lean and it's so good. I think you mentioned duck. That was probably the best, fresh live, well, not live, but game meat I've had. Obviously that we did Sydney's uncle's in a duck camp. Shout out to Mac. We were down in Destin, Florida area where they have a podcast. I mean, not a podcast. Wow, we're on a podcast. My mind's everywhere today. Just got married, Malcolm. So I'm, we're running on. Yeah, running on.
Congrats, man. Congrats.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. So they have a condo down there, and he brought some fresh duck from duck camp. We wrapped it in bacon. I think we did a cheese, a jalapeno, and then dipped it in some pepper jelly. I think you've done a duck. Have you done a duck poppers?
I know I've done deer poppers like that, but duck poppers is something I've done. We do dove like that too. Oh. Wrap them with a piece of jalapeno, a piece of cream cheese, and wrap them in bacon. Cheese. Man, that's what it was. That's deer camp snacks right there, man. You can't beat that.
It was unbelievable. All right. Well, the holidays are coming up. I mean, a big holiday in July 4th, huge holiday, right? This will come out after the 4th. But we'll talk Father's Day here too, but Father's Day, July 4th, what's the go-to in your house that you want to cook?
Usually for Father's Day, we're cooking a big old steak. I'm a steak and potatoes man. So if you give me a big ribeye and a steak and a cold beer, man, I'm happy.
Shout out to Miller Lite, right?
That's right. Shout out to Miller Lite.
Even though we're sponsored by Cape May Brewing Company, it is Malcolm's beer. So
that's right. Well, I'm not sponsored by Miller Lite yet, so I'm working hard on it, man. I'm sure trying to help them out.
Absolutely.
But no, for 4th of July, to me, that's I think of barbecue ribs. I think of the beans. I think of the coleslaw. I think of pulled pork. All the good stuff. That's a big get together, and that's what we did on 4th of July. Always, our families would always get together. We'd usually go to a lake somewhere, and somebody'd bring a pull grill, and the kids would be running around swimming, and the guys would be hanging out around the grill, cooking all the meat, and the ladies would be working on the sides, and it's just a big, I don't know, fun atmosphere that reminds me of celebrating the 4th of July, and so that's what I think of. I think of barbecue. I don't think there's anything you can go wrong with, but ribs and pulled pork, that's where it's at.
No doubt. I'm going to go with the pork butt. This weekend we got a big bone in one that we're supposed to do for the wedding on Sunday, but you got to get up early. And I was like, we'll just order some pizza or something. And there wasn't enough people in town, and your recipes of the pork butt makes a lot of good stuff. I absolutely love it. And we make the pizza the next day with it. That was awesome. The pizza recipe. I think one of my favorite recipes that you have, and it's just simple and it's nothing complex. It's just your coleslaw, the light vinegar, Carolina style coleslaw. I'm a Carolina Panther. I would be wrong if I didn't ask, what's your favorite meat to cook, to grill, smoke with the Carolina style?
A whole hog. I'll always say whole hog's if I've got to choose one thing that I'm going to cook, and the reason why, it takes several people to do it. So it's more about the experience of staying up with that hog, babying it for 20 plus hours, getting it cooked right, and then feeding a ton of people when you get ready to pull it, chop it all up. So it's really, it's an act of love cooking a hog. That's the creme de la creme. If you've never been involved in one, I need to get you down here. We need to cook a hog, because I'm sure you've had some great Carolina hogs being from, up in that part of the country now. But that's something special.
I've been eating good. I am a Yankee. I'll be honest. I'm from Philadelphia area, but I've been eating good down there. My fiance, my wife's family now, they're from Louisiana. So we eat really good when we go down there too. So, I mean, it's all good stuff for me. So can you paint a picture of like a map in people's heads here of like the barbecue flavors? Like got the Carolina style, you have a Memphis style, Texas style, which I love, just a salt, pepper, a little bit of garlic powder, but I just love the salt, pepper on everything. I love those recipes you do. Can you paint a little map there and just talk about each flavor?
Yeah. Well, and we got to talk about the Kansas City style too.
Oh, Kansas City style. Wow. Out west.
So we've kind of got those 4 main regions in the country. Carolina, like you nailed it. It's about the smoke and it's about the meat. They keep the sauces and the seasoning simple. Most of the time they're just using salt on those hogs just to get the skin good and dry, so it'll crisp up, so they can chop that good crispy skin in with the meat. But they get their flavor from the smoke and from the vinegar sauce. And there's 2 kinds of styles of vinegar sauce. You got that kind of that red ketchup based vinegar sauce, and then you got the one that's just salt and red pepper. It's almost like a hot sauce in a way. And those are the primary styles over there. Memphis, which really probably came from a Carolina style, or at least where I learned to cook, was a lot of my ancestors had migrated over from Carolina into Tennessee back in the day. And they brought that style of cooking with them, where they cooked the hogs on brick pits. They made these block pits, and then Memphis style kind of transformed into it's sweet, but it has a tomato based sauce, but they do incorporate spice rubs. You're going to see the paprikas and the chili powders and the brown sugars and all that on their meat. Even though they're cooking a lot like Carolina style, they're using spice rubs and they're adding more of a sweet and tangy sauce to it. Now, when you get to Texas, which is, people will argue that's the best. I think it's Memphis, but they people in Texas think it's Texas. But it's the salt and pepper. It's what I like about it, and it's really great. I end up cooking a lot of it because I like the meat to speak for itself. They let the wood, the meat, and the simple salt and pepper, that's all there is to it. And it's about just perfecting and cooking those juices out of that meat, getting it to where it's just pull apart perfect. The brisket's the king in Texas. But also I love those big short ribs they do. They're, it's like ribeye on a bone that they cook for hours, and it's just tender, like meat butter when you bite into it. And then Kansas City style is kind of a adaptation of Memphis a little bit. It tends to be a little bit sweeter, but they they still do pork there, but they're known for their burn ends, the brisket burn ends, because Kansas City's a big meat town. So I always like to tell people Kansas City style started because a man from Memphis moved to Kansas City. So it's really you can give Memphis credit for inventing the Kansas City style.
There you go. Love it. We got the map there. We got to draw. I'm going to have the social media team draw a little Malcolm's map. Talk about the whole thing.
The regions.
We'll post it. The regions. So I played for the Birmingham Iron in the Alliance of American Football League, and I went to a place down there called Saul's Barbecue. Have you been to Saul's Barbecue?
I've never heard of Saul's. That's a new one for me.
Man, so their chicken with the white sauce. Do you make a white sauce? It's unbelievable.
And have you ever tried it as a pizza sauce, dude? If you smoke,
you know what? That's where I saw it. That's where I saw you do it. Did you do that for the pulled pork pizza?
I have done. I did. I can't remember if I did on the pulled pork one, but I know I've done it on a chicken pizza before. But
that was it.
Done it on the.
I got to write that down. Maybe I'll make that this weekend. I make the white sauce for the pulled pork. I don't care what it's for.
That's my wife's favorite on pulled pork. I mean, it's great on chicken, but it's excellent on pork too.
Oh,
and it's I guess you'd call it kind of a creaming style barbecue sauce because it is mayo based, but it has the vinegar and it has the pepper, the spices in it, to where it really has a unique flavor. I mean, if you can get over it being white, some people don't like it because it's white. And I said, well, it doesn't matter. People eat ranch all the time. So, but it's not a classic sauce that a lot of people are used to going to the store and buying, but the flavor on it with meat's phenomenal.
Oh, it's unreal. And they do it there at Saul's. And I ate some good barbecue in Birmingham. They treated me really well down there. I loved it. But let's talk about this cold smoking. One, do you do a lot of it? And two, can you explain it?
I don't do a lot of it. I usually do it, we're in Mississippi, so it gets hot down here and you need cool weather. You need a lot of cool weather for cold smoking to be really successful because it's about keeping the grill temperature super low and adding smoke to add flavor to whatever you're putting on there. And most of the time when I'm doing cheese. I like to give cheese away during the holidays, or we'll use it for charcuterie boards or, something like that. And so it's really great. You can just go buy good blocks of cheese and put them on a pit and just have a low fire. Like if you think about putting a few coals, almost like in a soda can, you're just trying to make smoke. So you can add wood chips to that or little chunks of wood, and you're just producing smoke at a lower temp to really adhere flavor to absorb it into whatever meat or product, cheese, whatever it is. You can do nuts. I've done it with salmon before. It's really good to, cold smoke some salmon. That's super tasty. You kind of brine the salmon and then you put it on there and cold smoke it for a little while. But, there's usually only a few weeks out of the year where it gets cool enough for us to do it.
Yeah, we're a little bit different up here. I did it for Mother's Day up here. We did a salmon. I combined like one of your recipes and the Traeger recipe for what we had, which I thought was, I don't know how it's going to work out, but it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. It was interesting to brine and do it with the salmon and just get that liquid out and press it out. It was really cool. So shout out to Uncle Scott there with Up and Smoke Sports with the cold smoke question. But tailgating, right? Hot question. What are you bringing to the game? First off, who's your team football wise? You guys Mississippi State?
Man. So my wife's a Mississippi State grad and I'm Ole Miss.
Wow.
And so the Grove is the #1 tailgating venue in the United States in my book. I've been to some great ones, but it always goes back to Oxford, Mississippi, to the Grove, the University, Ole Miss. That's where it's at.
What are you cooking for the games?
I like to cook stuff to where people can, eat it in one hand while you're walking around. You're not sitting down eating a meal. So if you think about smaller stuff, like we do a lot of sliders. We'll do pulled pork sliders, pulled chicken sliders. We'll make the white sauce and bring a vinegar sauce. We always have a slaw to go with them so you can top them. I love to do sausages. I love to do brats. That's kind of if we're doing tailgate, we're going to have brats of some kind. And sausage and cheese. Charcuterie boards became a big thing. People, you see people doing classes on them and all this stuff and doing them. We've always done meat and cheese boards where we'll take just different kinds of smoked sausages, whether it's like jalapeno and cheese or andouille or just a regular smoked beef sausage or Texas style sausage. And we'll smoke them on the pits and then slice them up into bite-sized bites and then spread it on a big cutting board with different kinds of cheese. And you serve pepperoncini peppers, pickles with it. And you got a centerpiece that people just love to pick at a tailgate. And that's, That's always there. My wife makes a pimento cheese to die for. That's one you got to have. And if it's an early game, we're having Bloody Marys, man.
Now, do you have what's the secret to a good Malcom Bloody Mary?
Oh,
a lot of vodka or
no, not a lot, man. You know,
kidding.
it's I mean, I do like a good amount.
Yeah.
But I like, so I guess you would say my version of a Bloody Mary is if you've ever had a Chicago style Bloody Mary, where you start with your vodka and some, and some ice, and you got the Worcestershire, the hot sauce, a little bit of horseradish, cracked black pepper. I like to use like a teaspoon of dill pickle juice and a teaspoon of olive juice in it. So we're putting all this, in the mix, and then we're adding our tomato juice, or if we're in a pinch, we'll grab a bottle of Zing Zangs, but I'm still jazzing it up no matter what. I'm adding all those flavors to it. And then we, of course, we do some Bloody Mary competition so the garnish can get crazy. But I like to just keep it simple. I'll make a skewer with some blocks of cheese and some of the smoked sausage, maybe a boiled shrimp or something on there, and a stalk of celery, just to make it look good. But to me, Bloody Mary is kind of like brunch in a cup. So you got to cover your bases. You got to have something to snack, and you got to have enough vodka to knock that edge off from the Miller Lights from the night before.
Oh, you mentioned the boiled shrimp. So we made them where Cindy's Uncle Mac, he throws them, he's from Shreveport. Well, they'll do them down at the beach in Destin. And then the minute the first shrimp comes to the top, he dumps his ice on it and they just fall right off. Is that something that you've done before?
We definitely got to chill that pot, because you can overcook shrimp. There's nothing worse than overcooking some shrimp and you can't peel the shells off of it. I want those shells to almost jump off of them. And what he's doing, he's shocking the pot. He's dropping that temp back, because they'll absorb a lot of the flavor once you get the temp cooler. But if you leave them in that hot water where it's still boiling, they're going to overcook in a matter of minutes. It don't take but 2 or 3 minutes. Like you said, when the first one floats, you need to be killing the heat and getting the temperature down. I found a company down in Louisiana, and they have it called a bull boss. And it's like this, you can imagine a hula hoop ring that kind of hangs on the pot, and it's got all these little holes in it, and you hook a water hose up to it, and it squirts water through those holes. And you stir the pot while that water's squirting on it. And instead of adding water inside the pot by the ice, we're chilling it from the outside, and it drops it super fast, and it keeps you from diluting those flavors. So you can do, like, if you're doing one bowl, it's okay to drop ice in it. But if you're going to be doing multiple pots, more ice you add, you're going to have to adjust the flavor, because it's going to get weaker every time because you're putting more water in there. And so that's why we started using this bull boss. And our crawfish and shrimp game have been on point since we started using that.
We got to get that going up here. The crawfish, that's an unbelievable experience. We went, Easter, when I was coming out for the draft, training. I've been eating good, no booze, no nothing, been clean for I think it was 2 months I did it. And went to, like I said, Louisiana for Easter, and I had crawfish. I've had crawfish before, but proper for the first time. Any secrets with the crawfish, man? I mean, literally, they put like whole onions in there, full mushrooms, lemon. I mean, everything that you're used to. But for me, like the full potatoes, like all that, I was just going to work on everything. A little cream sauce on the side. It was so good.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's where it's at. I mean, I love crawfish season. It usually starts for us towards the end of February and runs till about the end of May. So we get a pretty long crawfish season here, and I bet you we cooked, man, since I don't know how many sacks we cooked this year, probably well over 100. Just, not at the same time. We would just cook a sack a week, or we'd have something here at the office and just go get a sack of crawfish and cook them. But my favorite thing is probably the mushrooms. Oh. We started adding, so we always do the corn, the potatoes, the mushrooms, the sausage. But we started adding getting big dill pickles and cutting them up into chunk and throwing the pickle in there. Well, that pickle starts absorbing all that crawfish flavor too. I mean, if you're a pickle fan, which I'm a pickle junkie, I love anything pickled. The crawfish pickles are legit. Try that next time you go to Louisiana. Throw some pickles in there and see what they say.
They're going to be, first off, they're not going to be happy because they know they got the perfect recipe. But I'll give it a shot. I'm going to say, hey, when there's a little bit left in the pot, can I throw some pickles in? Yeah. We'll finish up with that. So what's going on at the store, man? Malcoms Shop. Like, what are you guys doing there? I heard on your podcast you were like doing a little cooking session there. I'm sure you got a fridge full of beer. What do you got going on there?
Well, last weekend we did our 4th of July. We're going to give our employees off this weekend, just to be spend time with their family and stuff. We hope everybody's getting their supplies they need this week before Saturday. But we did a kind of our event last weekend. It was wienerfest. we got the idea of Coney Island. I know you've seen it, where they have the big hot dog eating contest every 4th of July. So I said, what if we did one of those local? Hernando's never had a hot dog eating contest. And we said, we're going to call it wienerfest 2021, and we're going to get a bunch of hot dogs. We have this big giant stick burner grill. We call it the BFO. It's the big freaking outlaw. But we had a contest to see how many hot dogs we could put in it and let people guess how many hot dogs were on it. And so we just kind of turned it into a parking lot, little mini festival about hot dogs. We gave out free hot dogs. We had a buddy come in. He fried corn dogs. We gave out corn dogs. We did a TikTok video where we were throwing have you seen the hot dog challenge where they try to throw it and you catch it with your mouth? We did that, but that was a fun time.
Important question though. How many hot dogs are on the grill?
598 is what it held, I believe.
Wow.
I think the closest person to it, we did closest without going over. And I think someone guessed like 578. So we had 2 people guess 600. So they were like, they went over. I said, well, you can't go over,
No doubt. But you guys raise money for the Palmer Home for Children. Yeah,
we did. The Palmer Home is a great organization. They care for kids that are, displaced from their families or going through some family troubles, whatever. It's I don't want to call it an orphanage because it's not really an orphanage. They have foster mothers and fathers in houses, and they place 8 kids to each house, and they have on their campus, I think they have over a dozen houses where they're taking care of kids like that. And so we help them raise money. They're in our backyard here in Hernando, and they're a great organization. So anytime we can get a chance to help out, we try to help out the kids.
We'll do the same here at Not For Long Media. We did the same for CMAC. Christian McCaffrey's on last week. He is 22 in troop. So we'll do the same here. But before I go, can you plug everything for us? The website, the podcast, TikTok, everything.
Yeah, man. And I appreciate you having me on today, Colin. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, man. But you can find me on How to BBQ Right on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. That's the fun one. If you want to see some crazy stuff, go check out TikTok. But also, Shell and I have a podcast, How to BBQ Right podcast, and you can get it on Apple or the Google Play Store. It's on all the outlets, wherever you get your podcast. And we just spend an hour a week hanging out, talking about the stuff we've cooked and any other fun stuff that comes up. So we try to keep it entertaining.
Malcom Reed, How to BBQ Right. We're gonna we'll send some funds to the Palmer Home. Seriously, we want to support what you're doing, and thank you so much for coming on, man. Thanks for just entertaining us, man. You're killing it. I've been watching you forever, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you more, becoming friends, and hopefully cooking and having some beers one day.
Yeah, man. Anytime if I can get you down here to Hernando, we can hang out and have a good time.
No doubt. Thanks for joining.
The Palmer Home, thanks you, man. We appreciate you.
No, man. Thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.